All right, stick around Minnesota just a bit longer and turn our spotlight to Representative Ilhan Omar, who just can't seem to stop herself from stirring up trouble and insulting anyone she disagrees with at every chance she gets. Our little troublemaker, you gotta love her. This time around, the Somalia-born congresswoman is aiming her venom at federal officers, also ICE agents, and even President Trump himself. And at this point, even some of her own fellow lawmakers on Capitol Hill think she's definitely crossed an unspoken line. You know, I say it all the time on this program. Madam Ilhan Omar, please, be quiet. Now to begin with, Omar is now accusing federal ICE agents of unleashing what she calls militarized racial terror on the streets of Minneapolis, all as part of some kind of a deliberate attempt to demonize her Somali community. Well, wholly inaccurate, but dear child, prather on, continue on. She goes on to claim that the recently concluded Operation Metro Surge shows just how far ICE is willing to go in order to terrorize and intimidate people of color, adding that many innocent people in her community were ultimately forced to go into hiding just to escape their authoritarian abuse of power. Gotta love a gal who plays the race card and the victim card and all at the same time. And I think they call that political multitasking. Furthermore, Omar argues that the pain and cruelty which the Trump administration inflicted on her community will linger forever, that young children will carry the trauma for the rest of their lives, and that no Minnesotan will ever forget the moment in which their own government turned against them. In my mind, that's kind of utter delusion. As a result, like a broken record, she's once again calling for the rogue agency of ICE to be completely abolished, for independent investigations into the murders of protesters Renee Good and Alex Preddy, and for economic restitution for the harm inflicted upon Minnesota businesses. She also vows she'll never rest until she makes sure this kind of abuse and terror, as she calls it, can never happen again. Same old song and dance. Meanwhile, earlier this week, Omar threw a complete tantrum after President Trump doubled down on his claims that fraud in her home state could ultimately reach up to $19 billion. Last I heard it was 9, but 19. As long as there's a 9 somewhere in that mix. On social media, she accuses the president of using those claims to deflect attention away from the Epstein scandal before describing in ugly detail how certain criminals are treated in Somalia. Hey, newsflash, doll, this isn't Somalia, it's America. And 47 is not the person of interest in this big, juicy Minnesota scam. In response, furious House Oversight Chairman James Comer now says that Omar is probably the one person in all of Congress who definitely needs to keep her mouth shut. I always say that. He also goes on to say that if she likes Somalia so much, she should simply go back there. Yeah, Somalia, sunshine, blue skies, fine living. Final thoughts, and this is the News Roundup Lowdown. This is nothing other than Mama Warbucks looking for more attention. What about me? Don't forget about me. I need to be heard. Look, we hear you, honey, but honestly, the country is tired of you. We're bored by your rhetoric, and we still want to know how you got all rich and junk, and seemingly overnight. Yeah, we haven't forgotten about your lovely $30 million windfall, Buttercup. You can buy an awful lot of chocolate for that for Valentine's Day. And don't forget about your News Roundup crew. We dig chocolate as well. Now, look, just for clarification, everything she's yakking about, this is nothing more than a low-rent undergraduate course called Historical Revisionism 101, an extension course you can take in Ilhan Omar's corrupt 5th District in Minnesota. You know, for starters, there was no terror, racial or otherwise, unleashed on the streets of Minnesota. Very dramatic, honey. Nobody's been harassed, treated unfairly, or in some way abused, and she is, in fact, twisting and distorting the narrative. Here's the real deal. I know you already know this. They had a substantial number of illegal immigrants in the Minneapolis area. Federal agents were deployed to the region to find, detain, and deport those folks. And in the course of their mission, city and state leadership propped everybody up, encouraged them to fight back. The mob mentality, it kicked in. And the safety of federal agents, you saw it. It was compromised. Omar is simply trying to pull a third-rate switcheroo on you. And this is a war which her and her accomplices dreamed up. You saw it. People got hurt. 2 individuals actually killed. And perhaps this whole mess was orchestrated as a means to an end to get everyone's mind off the billions of dollars of fraud in that state. You know, top to bottom, Minnesota is the single most poorly run state in the country. Politicians like Governor Walz, Moneybags Omar, and Mayor Fry, they thrive on lawbreakers, chaos, and disorder. And every day they remain in office is just one more day of something we affectionately refer to as Minnesota misery. Hey, Bill Thomas here. If you like what you see, be sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon. And don't forget to check out our channel, News Roundup with Bill Thomas. And that's where you can catch our full program and more videos. And we'll see you right back here next time.